We call to order the Seal and Branding Committee meeting of August 13th, 2024. All right, so we are here to approve the final option for the town logo. We're gonna bring this to the select board tonight. Dave, you want to walk us through stuff?
Sure. I'm gonna share my screen. Now you're seeing my. I'm there. That's nice.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah.
Amy. The mouse is the,
No, this is.
oh,
this is the right
okay.
mouse.
I was
This
like,
is the right mouse.
you did.
Why is it? Oh, here we go.
No, we're watching Amy sweat over there.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Okay.
So the last request we got was, can we put the weather vane on top? And I went up and, took a picture of it. The nice part is, it's not very complex. It's basically in an arrow, and it doesn't come to a point at the end. It's a little bit of a curve. So I put that in, and it's a detail it's pretty small. It does complete it when you compare the two. That part's nice, and I was worried about if you get it too small, if you print it or in embroidery or something, is it gonna just look like a blob and lose its shape type of thing? And we think that because it is, I got it large enough, it's a little bit tiny out of proportion, but pretty close, and it's an arrow, so it's pretty easy to realize it's an arrow. If it was like a mermaid or something like that, people would think it's a whale, or wouldn't work. So we put that out, and I think you guys, did they vote on it?
No, that's what we're gonna do.
Oh, okay.
Here we are.
All right, all right. And it certainly, it works in positive and negative, and if you scroll up a little bit, you can see it outside the circle. Well,
Say that again?
you just scroll it up, well, they can see it. No, oh, I'm sorry, down. There you go. So they can see the white version.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
So it works for that, it's not, I just wondered if it was like a benign detail, but I don't think so. I think it does top it off for it, so.
Yeah. Thoughts? Comments?
I'm assuming the right-hand one is an alternate design?
Well, that was the original.
Or
Yeah,
did
yeah.
it have a point in it?
It was I just had it stop. It didn't come to a point, but it just.
It had the cocktail straw.
See, that's the library. Now you really confused me. Right.
Anything?
It looks good.
Yeah, looks
Yeah,
good. It's
Yeah.
amazing that you could get with one little thing. It really does it.
Amber, any thoughts?
I like it. I like the weather vane on top. Yeah. I think now looking at it with it and without it, without kind of looks like a robot doing a split. With the weather vane, you can tell what it is.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So I like it with it.
I thought it was like R2D2.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Doing it
Or
to
a
your-
meter red or something.
Way too long.
I have been on so deep. Okay,
I like it. And it looks good both
Yeah,
in blue
I like
and with the yellow.
all right.
I can see it spinning.
I know. Well, now you know which way the wind is blowing. Always. Okay. Do you guys want to prepare to vote? We have to by a roll call. So all those in favor say, well, I'm gonna call your name yes or no, right?
Yeah.
Just have that. Amber,
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, don't forget Teddy.
oh, Teddy, my God, there's no
I
picture.
can't get my face, the video.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
She's raising her hand.
All right.
Jumping up. and
Hey,
down.
JP, you're,
No.
no, okay. So
I
unanimous,
came in way late on this.
so it's unanimous, we have a seal to offer. So we're gonna meet select board at 6:00. You'll come to the table. You'll introduce yourselves.
We do have some seal conversation now?
Yes,
But can I just ask a question? So, David, we'll probably be asking you for a number of things of opinions, but like this building, the paint was done by an architect, forensic paint architect, right?
oh my
So,
goodness.
the
Wow.
blue and the yellow, so like on all the nameplates outside, you'll notice they're brown with the seal. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, is it reasonable to put the relief one, what do you call this, the reverse?
But yeah.
Like on the brown, like, is that, so
Yeah,
we wanted to come up with like our list of like, little bit exceptions that,
Yeah.
that, you know.
Well, in doing the brand guidelines, I don't know if, I sent a copy over to Amy.
Yeah, we'll work.
That was sort of the stuff I won't say struggling with, but sort of like, do I give you an extra option on this? Because once you give people too many options, but I was sort of calling that one sort of when you do the pure logo without the circle. Because in some ways, if it's in full color and it's on white, you lose, the circle goes away,
Yes,
which is how we show it. And then as soon as you put on any color, the circle's there, but then you can put on any color, any background, and it doesn't mess it up. Then when you have the pure reverse one, I'm like, okay, could that be used on like, I'm not quite sure. The reverse is one, then another use is one color, like on the bills or something, right? So when that goes out one color, what happens there? Does it go to that one? Does it have to circle? So those are kind of what I want to.
we're still fleshing out.
Yeah, or just get comments or sort of get the whole laundry list. We need to redo this and
I
that.
figured we'd get a group together, like, the chiefs, we need to help design, what they're gonna put on patches or whatever.
Right.
I was thinking, for the seal conversation, Louise would just be like, yes or no, like, you're the seal holder, right?
yes.
So- So people can't use the seal unless Louise has said yes, otherwise they're on the logo, so.
Correct.
Okay.
And then maybe there would be some kind of protocol that we develop with the board that you don't change these without somebody's permission, because, turning it into something
Right.
crazy. without
Right,
permission is kind of-
It depends like what you give them. If you give them a vector-based EPS type of thing, you can change the colors and goof with it, but if you give them a JPEG or something, they're kind of stuck with it.
So what were you saying with the wood?
So not the wood, but there's rectangular, room names.
Yep.
That say, in that, so
And then
we
they
took
have
the
the
seal
seal.
off,
Mhm.
we could put this on the brown as an idea.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I don't think the seal needs to be on those, but again,
No,
I would
no,
leave that.
and it, yeah.
Well, you said I want to make a brass plaque with that or something like that, actually. There's
Right, like,
something in the
I'm
seal.
not sure we did that. Well, it came out different, it looks different on paper.
So I was thinking like the white on the brown.
Right,
That's what I was thinking.
okay.
Yeah, I like you said, there'll be
Got
the
it,
exceptions,
yeah,
there'll be the
Okay.
exceptions out there. And
yeah.
the good part is, we usually, you'll see the seal. Trying to do that work. It's like, okay, well, this will be much
And
easier.
people have taken the seal and like, Xeroxed it and.
If you go online, I'm shocked if you go online, there's just
copy.
like so many and like, don't even get me started on a Needham rocket, like at the high school ones, like, oh, can you do something for the rockets? Okay, and I'm like, there's 80 rockets. And as far as I know, there's not one or two that look very good, so I'm like, all right. I'm not touching that.
You may be the first. All right, my question is, do we have a single color version of this? Do we have this just as black on white? So that's the thing you would give to someone making a grade, like they'll want their file.
I was gonna say, do you want to do like one in grayscale?
Yeah, right, or just, yeah,
Yep.
One in grayscale, one in just black. So instead of being reversed out, it'd be blue just on white or black on white.
Yeah, well, that was the other one, because I did, it's actually in the next presentation, I do have a little section where I took a bill that had the seal logo and I dropped in an alternate seal, and then two of these to sort of say, okay, what if it was just without the circle, and then what was it if
Yeah.
I do a halftone screen for the yellow? And I think when we got back to picking colors, that was one thing that's going through my brain was, if we were to ever use the yellow as a screen, or that part of it as a screen, we could use a blue. It could be more vibrant blue, but if we ever have to go like, hey, it's only can be one color, I can put a little screen.
Right.
That's one
But we
color.
can still do that though,
Right,
you know, depending on the circumstance.
Yeah, so
you
like
know.
your water bill, you know, you don't wanna pay extra for
right, no,
yeah.
no, no,
Right,
I
right,
get
yeah,
it.
yeah, you don't wanna do
Yeah.
that.
right. Well, you could
Seriously.
It's expensive enough for it.
Keep it blue, right?
A half tone or a screen is basically like in a comic book, you know, when colors are just dots.
Yeah.
That's, you have, what you can make a file interpret it, so you can always use that. 100%, you print, the printer prints black, it's printing dots, and they appear gray. So that's how you create your gray. So it's a trick to print it. But yeah, we should just have an option for that.
Yeah, yeah, well, that could be more in the sort of in the training guidelines.
Yeah.
Kind of like, again, I can give an option, but what I wanna do is put all the rules with the options. And then you have the one page of like, you know, here's what it's supposed to do, then you have another page of do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
Lots of
Yeah.
don'ts, people don't color the word Needham's different. Don't make it green.
Change the font.
Right, yeah, there's a lot.
Do you want me to bring up the other presentation?
Sure.
Seal refinement or
Yep, that's it.
We have a contract now, Dave.
okay, yeah.
Sorry, I should have said that.
Yeah, well, what I was taking was from all the input, you know, because I was in all the other meetings too. You know, so here's the seal. So I guess, you know, Louise is gonna be the keeper of the seal, so that's good. So I think it'll be very limited on how it's used. We won't have problems like, okay, how, you know, we need to make it a wall mural, we need to, you know, it's gonna be more for official things type of thing. So this is what we have, so go to the next one. And this is all the fun we had with it. So the logo is actually pretty easy.
Yeah.
There's a
Oh,
little-
wow, we've been
there's a
meeting
little
since
more-
October.
Right. This is a little more, you know, stuff going on. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna go through this based on everybody's feedback, you know, what to exclude type of thing. And basically anything in magenta box was an exclusion or an area of concern, like, hey, what should we do here type of thing, and okay, read those quick. And then the includes, sort of like, okay, let's get it down to 2 people so it's balanced. Can we work the word Massachusetts in there? Can, you know, like incorporate it, makes it sound, you know, I always feel like it makes it sound like a business type of thing. You know, can we work on legibility of the type? My goal on this was, okay, can I make this, you know, it's a seal, and I didn't want it to look like a modern seal. I wanted to make it look like the seal was still done, you know, 100 years ago or something. We're still using it, and contrast it with, you know, the new logo we have. You know, that, you know, again, just like your BC or, you know, Boston College is on your diploma is the seal, and then on the gym floor is the logo type of thing. So that's what I was sort of going for. So that said, go ahead.
Can I ask a
Oh,
question
yeah,
here? I'm not sure how you got the Quakers in there. I love seeing them, but I don't think that we had,
There were some words of,
I think it was maybe the Puritans.
was it Puritans?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and Quakers
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
were kind of They
Wasn't
kicked them out and hung them on the common, but, you know, otherwise they were.
Who came up with the crosses? I thought someone said that
Because
was.
they
Oh,
a-
no,
were-
it- because the First Parish, yeah, and honestly, they weren't even appropriate for them.
They weren't, yeah.
And I
think they're, like a lot of these, I think there's just a sort of genericness.
Yeah, that's
So,
like
yeah,
kind of like.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think Amber had said that the Celtic crosses were not used, but the praying Indians use the regular cross. Is that right, Amber?
Yeah, it would be more of a regular cross, definitely not anything look Celtic.
This looks very castle wall type of thing.
Yeah.
I still think they should be off. in
They should
2024,
just be
yeah.
off, I think.
For whatever reason, we all.
Yeah.
agree.
Right,
Yeah,
And-
yeah.
It's just, yeah.
And I think it was sort of an invented fiction. A good Puritan would never had a cross. That's
Right.
That's what I was just.
Yeah, I just, it took, for me, it'd be interesting to see what the original person who did this, sort of what they, what direction they got. It was just kind of like, hey, throw some of this in there. Hey, that looks great. And they put it together. So now I think what we were trying to do is come up with something that's, we can update and, pick out all these inaccuracies in sort of one blow type
Right.
of thing.
Heidi, do you have a thought?
Yeah, I just want to add something, because if you look in the minutes of when the town incorporated in 1711, they wanted to incorporate because the people that lived on the Needham side of Charles River could not cross the river in order to go to church. Now, whatever kind of crosses you want is fine, but I don't think you should eliminate them, because that was part of the history of our town. So that's
Okay.
my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I get that it's history. I also think that it can be exclusive
Yes.
for people who live in town who don't have a cross as a symbol of their religion.
Right,
Or any-
Ted, you're right, it is part of the history, and, but I also think it's exclusionary to a lot of people who are not Christian, or Jewish, or other faiths, and don't share it, and I think it seems like it's a endorsement. I could see today being seen as an endorsement.
Well, yeah, if we don't address it now, like this one, you could say, yeah, that's the old seal, you see how it was sort of antiquated and. But if they're in, then you might be saying, oh, we're a Christian community.
Yeah.
Type of thing, and that would be,
You're right up with the history, but I think we should just.
Well, it doesn't speak to modern times. I mean, it
And I
speaks to
think-
then time.
right, and if you said, hey, we just updated this and we didn't update that part, then.
I think it is part of the current political. It's going to resonate differently than it might have 10 years ago.
But it's good to have thought through what an answer would be to that when people were looking
So-
at it.
Personally, I don't think we're gonna have an exclusion list. I think what we're gonna have is an inclusion that states a correction if there is a correction to be made. I think an exclusion list is just gonna create discussion
Oh,
over whether or not it should be excluded and why was it included in the first place and now why are we trying to exclude it? I think if you just have an inclusion, then that's what you're focusing
Well,
on.
yeah, we could take each one of those and just say, here are the changes we're gonna make, type of thing.
Right,
'Cause
so,
there's-
so like
there's-
when you're looking at the hats and they're inaccurate, you're just updating these for
Yeah.
accuracy, that's all.
Right, okay,
It doesn't need to say that anything was wrong with it.
right, that's a conversation we just don't need to have.
Well,
Right.
a lot of this discussion certainly is for this room, for the. community
Right,
type of thing. But if you said, yeah, we're gonna post this out on the Needham page, and yeah, let's.
There should be nothing, it shouldn't be negative, there should be nothing negative,
Right.
we're not,
Okay,
Yeah, and if people ask, then
yeah, you can explain it.
Yep.
But I don't even think they
It's
would
like-
ask if you
yeah.
say, we're
Updating.
up, and we're making the attire accurate. Okay, nobody's gonna question that.
Okay, I mean,
It's a positive.
the accuracy is,
The
Yeah.
seagulls are too
that's
far.
99% of what we're doing, we're just making it accurate,
And reflecting,
updating.
reflective of Needham today.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Next one.
give it a go. That's what
They
I'm.
are big.
that's what- Well, you can see they're sort of the most important thing on there.
Yeah,
Was sort of the idea and have it balanced nice. You know, well, again, a lot of the elements, you know, I wanted to, always jumps out to me is this topography. I finally feel at ease with it. I think having Massachusetts at the bottom really helps. You know, you don't need to put Massachusetts on our town logo because we all know what that is. But if, you know, Louise is doing something and
Right,
it's
we're
going out,
seeing
it's
it
like,
or someone
Needham
else.
what? Needham, oh, Massachusetts. It sort of says
Yeah.
more what it is. Still the incorporation in there, nice, the buttresses on the side. I kept the outside of the circle. I was like, what can I kind of keep? You know, like a little nod a little bit. So it's sort of the decorative edge around the outside. I definitely, I kept that. I worked hard to sort of say what kind of background looks Charles River-ish over, what's the park? I'm blanking on the park across the street.
Cutler Park?
Cutler. So that to me looks like Cutler and spots type of thing. You know, and just getting an accuracy like I got, you know, I think both the main characters, you can see that they're humans versus the other one where, well, they don't look like a cartoon anymore. You know, that was the other thing. I didn't want to look like a cartoon. I wanted to look more like sort of a woodcut penning type of thing. Enough that when it goes small, it's still legible type of thing. And when I played a lot on screen, we're like, okay, I'm gonna get it this small, and I'm like, okay, I can certainly read town Needham a lot better. And there's two figures, and I don't have to, you know, see what he's holding in his pocket or something like that. But I think it's a lot clearer than it is. Go ahead, go to the next one.
Teddy actually has her hand up.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry,
okay,
guys,
go
sorry.
ahead.
I don't think she lowered it.
No, she did.
Okay.
I would love to see Amber's drawing of the town seal again.
Oh, yeah, Amber.
Oh, that's right.
it was what was sent out to us.
Yeah.
You took that on?
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
That's okay. I don't have it in mind. That's.
No, I'll have to stop sharing and actually find it on my screen.
Oh,
but-
okay.
Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, what I liked most about that was certainly the two characters sort of taking up the composition. And just sort of, and the trees and everybody
Right.
sort of put a little bit kibosh on the high rock, but you know, again, that's her cousin not getting the full story of what we were trying to
So in
do.
this one, there seems to be an interaction.
Yes.
And in the other
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
it's more
It's
of a, we're
Yeah.
standing next to each other, which could mean a lot of different things. So I just wondered if other people saw that too.
That's the first thing that jumped
Yeah,
out.
that's what I wondered about engaging them somehow.
Because before the interaction was around the deed and it was historically inaccurate that that wasn't when it
Yeah.
happened. And then we're having two people instead of one and two. So kind of what is the meaning of the
I
connection?
I struggled with that a little bit from the standpoint of what should he, you know, I didn't want them shaking hands. And I didn't want like, okay, so if Native Americans saying something, it's a positive, like, you know, I mean, it's, I just kind of wanted a,
Yeah,
not a portrait, because, you know, I could have them both, you know, standing right there, so I kind of got 3/4 on each side.
you know, I would say, I think in the seal, the existing seal we have, even in this draft here, it tells a story. And in this version here, these are two men who have nothing to say to each other. They met the neighborhood barbecue. And like, oh, okay, I'm leaving here as soon as I can. So I think what's happened is we've gotten rid of any story. And here there's just, there's no narrative. And I think there's an opportunity to say a narrative of what happened historically. And in this version, there is no narrative. It's just, we're standing here. And also because you got so exact with actually drawing people, they're so big.
Yeah.
We are really saying these are people. We don't know who the person on the right is, the English, maybe it's
It's
Kingsbury
one of the selectmen at the time,
and a Dedham stuff.
the Dedham selectmen, yeah.
Right. And then even when we don't know who these people look like, but we have definitely come down saying this is. And I think that feels a little, I'd rather we sidestep, or a little vague. We don't have to say explicitly, this is how we look, because we don't know. We don't know how the English settler looked either. Period dress, he's also dressed, I think, way too, I'm sensing he's dressed a little 1760s, not 1711. And in fact, it would be 1658. He just seems period wise. The hat.
1680.
1680, yeah. So that the dress seems a little strange, and
Dress is very hard to pin down because for this period, most of the images are people who are fairly wealthy dressed up.
Right, yeah.
And just getting, you know, generic everyday clothes, you're really sort of left with the leggings, the long coat.
Right.
I think for the settler figure, I was looking for something plain, but not too plain. And I kind of wanted to get the hat right. Like the hat to me felt important for him.
Yeah.
And then on Native American, I was trying to get that correct.
Yeah.
Type of thing. I mean, I was actually more concerned there to sort of, you know, I didn't want to misrepresent.
Right.
You know, because I felt like the settler, like, it's you know.
Yeah. I think if we could do anything, we could decide what
The narrative.
what the narrative is.
Yeah.
Like, and what you have there, I get it's actually a bit more welcoming scenario. And of two equals. And at least that's a story. Do you guys have thoughts?
Did we hear from Anthony?
Yeah, Amber, thoughts?
I agree that it should have more of a story to it. First of all, your art's beautiful. I think that maybe having them facing each other is a way to symbolize that there's a conversation and it's peaceful. I know my niece, when she was doing this, she was concerned about how do you get the body language for an image. So she kind of did one knee buckling and both knees pointed into each other to show that it's a comfortable conversation. They were there talking a while. You know, when you talk for a while, you settle in, you get comfortable. And then even the hands, one's facing and one's kind of, you know, mid body level, but it's still not aggressive. So I think maybe having it so you can see that there's a conversation going on versus the conversation already happened and this is what we look like after.
This is the press availability after.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where it was like, if Amy called the one I got.
I'm gonna have to stop sharing.
No, sorry. I should have put that in the same presentation.
Amber? Amber?
Yeah.
If there was a ceremony involved, would there be some sort of ceremonial transfer of something from the Native American to the settler, or no?
Not for what it was, not for land. It'd be accurate that it would have been, just who the land belonged to and maybe a couple tribal members, but it wouldn't have been something that there would be it wouldn't have been an actual celebration, so there wouldn't have been any type of ceremony. So only having one native figure is appropriate, and that seems correct. Yeah.
I will say, I think the background is so much more peaceful.
Yes,
I think you got the trees in there and.
All right,
Just
yes.
say- So the only thing I would say is there's nothing about the background that screams Needham to me.
The water, the pine trees?
Pine tree.
Well, actually, yeah, about the trees, yeah.
Yeah, no, and then I just think people are too big. They need to interact and
Too
they're
big,
just
yeah.
too big.
My beef with the trees is, I don't mean, they're not pine trees. I don't think.
No, I like.
They,
It should be open.
this
Oh,
sounds
trees, yeah.
weird, okay? They seem
Kevin, you're.
really 18th century English European painting style. You ever see-
Landscape, yeah.
Yeah, landscape painting.
It's
These
like a
are
Turner.
The very brushy trees, and they did it in Europe, but not Hudson School, like, these are European trees. Okay? They're just European. I
We
can
need
spot it a
some.
mile away.
we need some
And
transplants.
white oaks, there isn't anything more European than a white oak.
No, but they look like European trees. All right, one other question, and Amber, this is a thought too. I'm kind of wondering if we should have 4 people. I mean, 2 of each or something. I mean, I don't want to crowd it, but it's sort of like, was the history just really done between 2 men? Or these are 2 communities, and like in Newton, they have about 6 Native American figures. And it's really crowded.
Yeah.
But I just a thought, we're here talking about it.
I don't think this is something you want to go into in terms of a narrative too closely. The post King Philip's War land deeds were very ambiguous documents. Most of them were fictional deeds. They were mostly just a piece of paper that satisfied the king, that essentially codified the fact that the land had already been stolen.
Right.
Part of the problem with Nohoiden is that he occupied a different kind of space and had a different kind of relationship with the English, where he was not as helpless. And after the war, a lot of tribes were decimated. And, they basically, if they got anything for their land, they took what they could get because it would be moved off.
And they were starving and.
Yeah, they were not in a position to negotiate for any sort of fair land. What exactly happened, in the Hoyden's transaction is probably not as bad as that, but probably not also, a real meeting of equals.
Right.
To some extent, the fact that he was able to keep the best fishing land for himself, means that he wasn't being entirely pushed off. And he had some control over the situation, but it's not, as Amber said, it's not a celebratory event. He's leaving, he's taking his folks to Ponkapoag. So.
Okay.
Would it like, when I looked at it, I was thinking, okay, is anyone shaking hands, or what's an appropriate gesture or stand on the side?
Yes, here we go.
So if we're like this, would it be like one, I wouldn't have like, buddy go like, if Nohoiden would just sort of raise up his hand onto the shoulder. That means that,
Right.
or if the settler did it, then what's the meaning? I feel like it's, if Nahoyden did it, it could be more, I'm accepting this.
And they say politicians, whoever does like more touching is in power, so it's like, you know, that's like good to see.
Yeah.
And more touching is more like, I'm taking control of this.
But let's go
That's-
back
that's
to the,
cultural too.
Yes,
go back to
yeah.
the 1700s.
Amber, is there sort of an appropriate, welcome gesture or?
So you know what
You know,
I'm
like we're-
thinking?
we'd stick out our hand and, to shake.
We
One
shake
of the things-
hands. And that's something that, that's
Raising hands, did you
we
say?
do now, but back then it would have been just a hand on a shoulder, something like that, but it wouldn't necessarily have been something with this type of relationship. So maybe a better way to show that this was peaceful is instead of them standing, what if they were sitting? Most certainly, most conversations, you'd be sitting on the ground, Indian style, talking to someone. That's just how it would have went. So I don't know, just trying to think of a better way to show that this was peaceful and borderline friendly versus there was something aggressive that happened around it, which, truth be told, we really aren't clear on that. But is that maybe a better way to show that this was peaceful?
I love that. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
good point.
There's a relationship, but not that there's.
Yeah. Like, because this is all going to be up to perception, and whoever's looking at it is going to interpret it however they think of it. If it didn't say Town of Needham, would they be able to look at this and know that this was Needham Seal? What's going on here that that this is Needham, but we do know that there was land that was sold and documented that wasn't exactly hostile because it was documented in the way that he got to keep it and that whole chain of transactions. So I think there is something beautiful that should be said about that something was maybe okay with this because he did maintain a little bit and it was okay. So I don't know, just thinking maybe them sitting facing each other talking.
And also, if it's gonna
That'd be
be
challenging.
Nohoyden specifically, he's a praying Indian. He lives partly in the native world and partly in the English world.
Right.
So, okay.
I only.
You're just making this complicated.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no.
It's 6 people.
I'm trying to take it in to also say what, not to say what I can and can't do, but like what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. I don't wanna look like they're two guys on lawn chairs in front of like, it doesn't, what are they sitting on? It's not, if it was,
I mean, it could be more of their body language if they would just turn more towards each other. That,
Yeah,
I felt like the body
the
language, you
inside
just
knees
get-
were bent towards each other. The hands weren't so that, just so stoic they both look.
It's-
Body language things.
Hopefully they're having a
So,
good
but who
time.
would put the arm?
Yeah, I just think like if the
Our
way was
indigenous
just
person
put
or-
his hand up.
Yeah.
Not,
It's kinda
not
like-
the, not the colonist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but were relationships really like that in 1711?
Some of it, though, is people looking at the seal and being able to interpret what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not necessarily
What-
all.
it's not
Yeah.
gonna be, it's not gonna be. dead-
And they're gonna
dead
put today's
accurate.
lens on it when they look at it.
Right,
Right.
right.
But one of the nice things about
what
Amber's
happens.
niece's version is that they are gesturing toward each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I like
And I
that.
think it's sort of turn more to each other and making some sort of gestures, even if it's not a hand on the back or actually shaking hands, but showing like they're,
We can try that. and see.
in conversation as opposed to
And see how it goes.
standing there.
Right.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
narrative is a peaceful conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it should be.
Treat us sitting down though. Try it.
And try to find
And
a
I
non.
think it'd be on the
fine.
flag.
I see it.
tree stumps.
Yeah, could
Tree
be sitting
stumps?
on a tree stump or something.
Oh, yeah, cut down the trees and.
I think they'd be just sitting on the ground.
We had a couple of tree stumps.
The Amber said they would have been on the ground.
Background.
Yeah, they would have both did the cross-leg Indian style talking. Yeah.
I'm just worried about the composition.
Yeah, I
I mean,
know.
I do like the idea
Yeah.
of, they can be a little smaller, then when they get smaller, then other things have to come in
Mhm.
to the space
And if
and
they're sitting there, they're only up to the.
Right.
And then we
I-
have
I
a different kind of
purposely-
oak tree that's not
I
English.
made sure there were no structures in the background, because like, again, it's tough to do this, because the person who initially did it, that was his interpretation and his lens, and this is mine type of thing. you know, and a lot of it, I don't want to like read into it too much type of thing, like, oh, that's an apple tree instead of a pear tree, you know, it's,
Oh, yes.
it's that kind of, you know, so and it's gonna be used small, and I just wanna see people kind of look at it and say, oh, that's at least, it's more legible looking than the other, but not have to like,
No one's gonna parse the trees.
Kevin,
I-
And
They have to
you-
look,
you
they
just
have to
don't
look
know.
like trees. And I have to say, I really love the fact that the tree crosses the border, the old one.
Oh, right, yeah.
Just that little bit of tree that hangs out. over the-
Oh, you like that.
You
I
like it?
do. Oh, I like it. It's like, on such a non-whimsical image. I mean, just nothing about it is, it's stiff, it's formal, it's generic. And then there's this little branch.
The tree is growing.
Yeah.
well, I didn't almost mind that, if the, that's why I kind of like, when I put the incorporated 1711s on the side, I did
Yeah.
like sort of interrupting
Breaking the circle.
where that
yeah.
was. Cause I was, you know, I'm like, okay, so I take off the crosses, then I thought, well, I can't, I don't wanna stretch out the typeface so it starts to look awkward and weird, and I just hated the spacing. The other one, I just, you know, I looked around hard to find it, it's like
I like
sort of
the outside.
an old
Right.
typeface
Mhm.
that sort of looks, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't want it to look slick.
Right, no, this is slightly pre-industrial revolution. Yeah.
But I guess the difference is, it looks like you're looking through a lens at them in the new version, whereas in the old version, they're somehow coming out at us.
It's a little bit of the style, I think, too, just
Yeah.
where it's like the other one is more simply cartoony-ish type of thing. And I mean, that's the other thing, just what I was going through my process is, it's like, if I made it more simple, like, I'm trying to find if there's like, you know, I did a lot of Photoshop, is there filters that's a little bit more rougher, so you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the
Well,
more
yeah.
detail you show, the more meaning people wanna put
Yeah,
with it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so if I can step back a little further
Yeah.
and sort of, you know, take a Sharpie and just kind of trace around stuff, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's two guys and,
Right.
you know.
We have to wrap this up, so I have to go. My two thoughts. One, maybe make a little more folk art-y. I mean, it's very, the lines are so clean, so. precise.
Yeah, that's.
And in the old version, I mean, they look like Lego men.
Yeah.
There is nothing, you know, the hillside is actually a bare hillside. It should be either treed or it should be, I mean, it looks like California with the bare mountain top, hilltops.
Yeah.
If you really want to make like, you maybe you put in the radio towers.
It's
Perfect.
1711.
The man on wood. All right, we do have to wrap this up. This is actually a great
we
conversation.
wanna pick a meeting date.
Yeah, let's make a meeting date for.
How long do you need to? Well, it has to be after Labor Day.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's plenty.
absolutely.
I mean, not plenty, but. As long as it wasn't
Want
next
to
week.
meet at 4 o'clock on the 10th, which is kind of back to our regular.
4 or 10.
Oh, where's Topher?
Wait, oh, why are we
Just
on 25? Number 10. How about Amber?
Yeah.
September-
Yep.
September 10th at 4.
Yeah, September 10th, Tuesday,
Tuesday.
Tuesday at 4. Hopefully this room.
Yep, I can see if it's available.
Would you mind letting Topher know now?
Mhm.
Just so he has on his calendar.
Okay.
Because the other option I had in my mind was, I mean, this was perfect for me to sort of, you know, fleshed out, like, okay, get something everybody can react to type of.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Is if I hired a different illustrator to do it, like someone to actually pen and ink and blah, blah, blah. I always get worried, because then all of a sudden, oh, they didn't do it, it's an ink now or something like that, it's harder to move, but I thought if I could at least get something that, okay, it's all accurate here, then it's a matter of like, okay, how can I filter it down to like make it a little rougher, like you said, you know, it's a little too much detail, but I also wanna, where's that line? You know,
Yeah.
it'd be great if it was easy to sort of just dial it in, real quick and easy, because then you can say, well, that's too much detail, that's not enough.
Right, I guarantee the next meeting, we're gonna be like, that's not enough. Come see us in
All right.
October.
We have,
Yeah, we have a select board.
is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Oh, great.
Second,
All right, great.
third.
Looking by roll call. Amber,
Second, yes.
Heidi.
Second,
All right. You can say yes. Yes. I'm gonna take it as a yes.
Yep.
Cynthia.
Yes.
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 And Joe, yes, all right, we're adjourned. Thank you very much. See you in a few minutes.
Yes.
Anybody gonna be online at the next meeting or?
Yeah, I think I got the link for it.
I'll forward it to you again.
Thank you. Amy.
Thank you.
It's
I was
different.
trying like had to be there in person today and just work had other alternative ideas for these.
I've heard this happens.
No worries. I'll send it to you now.
Yeah, good to see you.
No,
Likewise.
no seal.
Hi.
It's just